You think transparency makes you trustworthy. It doesn't. It makes you exploitable. Every secret you've shared, every weakness you've revealed, every honest answer you've given when silence would have been smarter. Someone's been taking notes. If you're exhausted from playing by rules that nobody else follows, this channel is your wake-up call. We don't do motivational speeches here. We do psychological warfare training for daily life. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because what you're about to learn, they don't teach in school for a reason. There are two games being played right now. Game 1, the one you were taught. Work hard, be honest, treat people with respect, wait for fairness to reward you. Game 2, the one actually happening. Watch patterns, control information, adapt ruthlessly, create outcomes instead of waiting for them. Most people are playing Game 1 while getting destroyed by people playing Game 2. Today, you're learning Game 2, not to become a manipulator, to stop being manipulated. I'm breaking down 8 principles that separate strategic thinkers from emotional reactors. These aren't tricks. They're patterns Machiavelli observed 500 years ago that still run human behavior today. By the end of this video, you'll see every conversation, relationship, and workplace interaction differently. You'll recognize the moves before they're made. You'll control outcomes without anyone noticing. You'll become strategically dangerous. Before we start, I need you to do something. Think about one time you played fair, told the truth, and got punished for it anyway. Comment that story below. Let's expose these patterns together. And if you're ready to stop playing the fake game and start winning the real one, type this: I'm ready to see the game. Now, let's get dangerous. Number 1, strategic opacity. Here's what nobody tells you. Complete honesty isn't virtue, it's tactical suicide. Every time you explain yourself fully, you hand someone your instruction manual, your motivations, your insecurities, your leverage points. They smile, they nod, they file it away for later. Most people think transparency builds trust. It doesn't. It builds dependency on their approval. Real trust doesn't require explanation. Real power doesn't justify itself. This isn't about lying. This is about strategic disclosure. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Here's why this works psychologically. Human brains hate information gaps. When you leave blanks in your story, their imagination fills them in, and whatever they imagine, it's always more flattering than reality. The mysterious person seems competent. The vague answer seems profound. The withheld information seems valuable. Scarcity of information creates perceived value. Abundance of information creates dismissal. Think about your last job interview. Someone asked, "What's your biggest weakness?" Most people panic explain, "I'm a perfectionist," or "I work too hard," or some rehearsed garbage. Strategic opacity sounds different. "I'm working on something specific right now, but I'd rather show you my strengths through results than discuss theoretical weaknesses." Then redirect. What challenges is this role actually facing? Notice what happened. You revealed nothing. You appeared confident. You took control of the frame. Or think about dating apps. The person with the mysterious bio and selective photos gets more interest than the person who overshares their entire personality in paragraph form. Why? Because mystery triggers curiosity. Curiosity triggers pursuit. Pursuit creates perceived value. Your brain's reticular activating system focuses on incomplete patterns, unfinished stories, unanswered questions, unexplained behaviors. This is why cliffhangers work, why mysterious people are magnetic, why the person who talks least in the room often seems most important. You're not withholding to be difficult, you're creating cognitive engagement. How to recognize when someone's using this on you? Watch for these patterns. I'm handling something important this week. No details. Creates intrigue. That's interesting. Why do you ask? Answers questions with questions. Maintains control. I have my reasons. Refuses explanation. Appears sovereign. The person using strategic opacity never explains unless there's tactical benefit. If you feel curious about them but realize you know very little, you're being influenced. Here's the key. You're not creating a false persona. You're curating which truths you share, when, and with whom. Your coworkers don't need to know your weekend plans. Your casual friends don't need to know your deepest fears. Your competitors definitely don't need to know your next move. Different relationships require different levels of disclosure. Start here. When someone asks a personal question, pause. Ask yourself, does answering this benefit me or them? If it's them, redirect. Why do you want to know? If they get defensive, you've just learned they were mining for information, not building connection. Strategic opacity isn't just about withholding information. It's about controlling your narrative. When people know less, they assume more. When they assume, they project their own biases onto you. The ambitious person thinks you're ambitious. The fearful person thinks you're confident. The manipulator thinks you're playing chess, too. You become a mirror for their psychology. That's influence without effort. For the next 7 days, when someone asks about your plans, mood, or decisions, give them 40% of the truth instead of 100%. Not lies, just less. I'm working on something. Instead of explaining your entire project, I have plans. Instead of detailing your schedule, I'm thinking about it. Instead of explaining your entire decision-making process, watch what happens. People will become more curious, more respectful, more interested in what you do share. Your words will carry weight because they're rare. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My information is my currency. I spend it strategically. Number 2, adaptive identity. Here's what weak people call this, being fake. Here's what it actually is, being effective. You are not one person. You're a collection of adaptations. You speak differently to your grandmother than your friends. You act differently in interviews than at parties. You present different versions of yourself in different contexts. This is natural. Strategic people just do it intentionally. Most people stumble through interactions using the same personality everywhere, same tone with everyone, same approach in every situation, same communication style regardless of who's listening. Then they wonder why half the people they meet misunderstand them. Here's reality. If you use the same strategy with everyone, you'll fail with most people. Machiavelli advised, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Translation: adapt immediately or struggle forever. Human psychology runs on different operating systems. Some people are analytical. They need data, logic, and evidence. Some people are emotional. They need feeling, connection, and empathy. Some people are practical. They need process, application, and results. Some people are visionary. They need meaning, possibility, and impact. If you're analytical talking to an emotional person using only logic, you lose them. If you're emotional talking to an analytical person using only feelings, you lose them. Adaptive identity means recognizing which language someone speaks, then speaking it. Think about your last conflict at work. Maybe you had a logical argument about why a project should change direction. Data supported you, facts backed you up, but nothing happened. Why? Because your manager wasn't analytical. They were political. They needed to know how the change would make them look, who it would upset, and how to frame it to leadership. You brought data to a perception fight. Strategic adaptation means recognizing this mid-conversation. I see the direction you're leaning. Let me reframe this. If we position this as your initiative to improve efficiency before the quarterly review, you look proactive. If we wait, you look reactive when problems emerge. Same goal, different language, better outcome. Or think about dating. You match with someone on Hinge. If they're playful and sarcastic in their prompts, matching that energy works. If they're thoughtful and earnest, matching that energy works. If you force your natural style on everyone regardless of theirs, you'll connect with 20% and confuse 80%. Adaptation isn't manipulation, it's communication intelligence. Mirror neurons fire when we recognize similarity. When someone feels like you get them, their brain releases oxytocin. Oxytocin creates trust. Trust creates influence. You're not being fake, you're being multilingual. Same core values, different expressions. Think about water. It takes the shape of whatever container holds it, but it's still water. Its essential properties never change. Your adaptive identity works the same way. You adjust your presentation to fit the situation. But you never compromise your core principles. How to recognize. When someone's using this on you, they seem to become exactly what you need in every interaction. With your analytical friend, they're logical. With your emotional friend, they're empathetic. With your ambitious friend, they're driven. It feels perfect. Too perfect. If someone has no consistent personality across contexts, they're either deeply adaptable or completely hollow. Watch for this. Do their actions match their words across all environments, or do they shift entirely? Healthy adaptation, same values, different expression. Manipulation, no values, only mirrors. Adaptation becomes dangerous when you lose yourself. Here's the line. Your values never change. Your integrity never bends. Your boundaries stay firm. Only your presentation adapts. If adapting requires compromising what you believe, you've crossed into manipulation. If adapting just means speaking someone's language while maintaining your truth, you're being strategic. They think being authentic means being identical in every situation. It doesn't. Authenticity means being genuinely yourself while adapting your expression to be most effective. You don't speak to a 5-year-old the same way you speak to your boss. That's not being fake. That's being appropriate. For the next 7 days, before every important conversation, ask yourself, what does this person value most? Status? Connection? Results? Recognition? Security? Then frame your message in their value language. If they value results, here's the outcome this creates. If they value recognition, this positions you as the person who solved this. If they value security, this reduces risk and creates stability. Same message, different frames, better connection. Drop this affirmation, I speak every language. I lose no core value. Number 3, emotional sovereignty. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Whatever you're afraid to lose controls you. Whoever you need too much owns you. Anything you can't walk away from becomes your cage. Most people are slaves, not to systems, to attachments. They can't leave bad jobs because they need the money too desperately. They can't leave toxic relationships because they fear being alone. They can't speak truth because they need approval too badly. Fear of loss makes you negotiable, and the moment you're negotiable, you're controllable. Machiavelli wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." Dependence creates vulnerability. The person who needs nothing can demand everything. The mechanism. This is basic negotiation psychology. Two people sit down to make a deal. Person A desperately needs this deal to work. They've already told people it's happening. They've made plans around it. They've built expectations. Person B would like the deal, but has three other options. They're willing to walk. Who controls the negotiation? Person B, obviously. Because they're not attached to the outcome. Detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. When you're not desperate for approval, you can be honest. When you're not terrified of being alone, you can choose better company. When you're not clinging to outcomes, you can see reality clearly. Think about the last time you stayed in a situation too long. Maybe it was a friendship that became one-sided. You kept reaching out. They kept being busy. But you didn't want to lose them, so you kept trying. The moment you decided you'd be fine without them, power shifted. You stopped chasing. They noticed. Suddenly they had time. Or think about salary negotiations. When you desperately need the job, you accept the first offer. When you have 3 offers and genuine willingness to keep searching, you counter aggressively. Employers smell desperation. It reduces your value in their eyes. Abundance mentality, even if you're faking it, creates respect. Or look at modern dating. The person who's always available, always texting back immediately, always rearranging their schedule becomes wallpaper. The person who has a full life, responds when they want to, and maintains their own priorities becomes intriguing. It's not a game. It's demonstration of value through behavior. Why it works. Scarcity principe. What's always available becomes invisible. What's scarce becomes precious. Your attention, your time, your presence, your commitment. When these things are easy to get, they're valued at 0. When they require earning, they're valued highly. Detachment forces others to earn access to you. How to recognize when someone's using this on you. They never seem to need you. You're always reaching out first. You're always adjusting your schedule. You're always proving your value. They remain mysteriously unavailable, vaguely busy, and maddeningly undesperate. If you find yourself working harder and harder to maintain someone's interest, they're using detachment against you. The question isn't whether it's working. The question is, are you okay being the one who needs more? Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes it's not. But at least see it clearly. How to develop this without becoming cold. Here's the balance. Care deeply, attach lightly. Love people, don't need them for your identity. Want good outcomes, don't require them for your worth. The goal isn't to stop caring, the goal is to stop being controlled by your caring. Because we're taught that caring means desperately needing. It doesn't. The strongest love doesn't cling. The deepest care doesn't suffocate. The best relationships don't require constant validation. Detachment creates space for genuine connection. Because when you're with someone by choice, not need, the relationship becomes powerful. Next 14 days, identify your 3 strongest attachments. Could be a relationship, a job, an outcome, someone's approval, a specific identity. For each one, complete this sentence. If I lost this thing, what would happen? Now imagine that scenario fully. Feel the discomfort. Then recognize the truth. You'd survive. You'd adapt. You'd rebuild. This mental rehearsal removes the fear of loss. And when you're not afraid to lose something, you stop being controlled by it. Drop this affirmation. I am whole without external needs. Nothing owns me. If this is changing how you see power and relationships, hit that like button right now. Because what's coming next is where we go from theory to tactical. You're about to learn how to create influence without saying a word, how to read anyone within minutes, and how to position yourself so that people give you power willingly. Let's keep going. Number 4, silent pressure. Most people think power is loud. It's not. Real power whispers. Sometimes it doesn't even speak. You don't need to demand respect. You don't need to force compliance. You don't need to raise your voice. You just need to make yourself essential, then strategically unavailable. Presence that's earned carries more weight than presence that's constant. Think about the most powerful people you know. They're not the loudest in meetings. They're not the ones explaining themselves constantly. They're not desperate to be heard. They speak rarely, so when they do, everyone listens. Machiavelli understood this. Never was anything great achieved without danger. Silence creates danger. Danger creates attention. Attention creates influence. Here's the psychology. Humans are uncomfortable with silence. In conversations, most people fill gaps with words. Often those words reveal more than intended. The person comfortable with silence controls the rhythm. They ask a question. Then they wait. The other person, uncomfortable with the pause, starts talking. They over-explain. They reveal vulnerabilities. They give away leverage. All because silence felt too heavy. Think about your last salary negotiation. You made your case. You stated your number. Then what did you do? Most people immediately start justifying. I know that seems high, but if that doesn't work, maybe we could. I'm flexible if. You just negotiated against yourself. Strategic silence sounds different. You state your number. Then you stop talking. The silence becomes unbearable. For them, not you. They're the ones who break it. Okay, let me see what I can do. That's higher than budgeted, but I'll talk to finance. What if we met in the middle? You didn't demand. You didn't argue. You just refused to fill the silence with negotiation against yourself. Or think about a conflict with a friend. They're upset, they're venting, they're making accusations. Your instinct is to defend yourself immediately. Strategic silence is different. Let them finish. Look at them calmly, then respond with half the words they expected. I hear you. I'll think about what you said. Then you leave. That silence does more work than an hour of defensive argument would have. They're forced to sit with their own emotions. They're forced to question if they overreacted. They're forced to wait for your judgment. You controlled the frame without fighting for it. Silence activates 2 powerful psychological forces. Projection. When you're quiet, people project their fears onto your silence. The guilty person thinks you know something. The insecure person thinks you're judging them. The manipulative person thinks you're strategizing. Your silence becomes a mirror for their psychology. Social pressure, silence feels like withdrawal. Humans are tribal. Withdrawal triggers fear of exclusion. Fear of exclusion triggers compliance. When you withhold your presence, attention, or approval, people work harder to regain it. Not because you demanded it, because you removed it. How to recognize when someone's using this on you. You're doing all the talking. You're doing all the explaining. You're doing all the chasing. They just exist. And somehow their mere existence makes you work harder. If you find yourself desperate to break their silence, to explain yourself, to earn their response, you're being influenced. The question is, are they strategically silent or genuinely disinterested? Watch for consistency. Strategic silence is selective. Genuine disinterest is consistent. How to use this without being passive. Here's the key distinction. Silent pressure is not passive. You're still taking action, you're just doing it quietly. Instead of announcing your value, you demonstrate it. Instead of demanding loyalty, you earn it through consistent action. Instead of fighting for power, you position yourself to be indispensable. Then you strategically withdraw. In professional settings, become the person everyone relies on for solutions. Don't announce it. Just solve problems consistently. Then, when you need leverage, be slightly less available. Watch how quickly they realize they need you. In relationships, give generously when present. But don't be constantly available. Your attention becomes precious because it's not guaranteed. Next 7 days, silence practice. When someone asks you a difficult question, count to 3 before responding. Let the silence sit. Watch them get uncomfortable. Notice how your delayed response carries more weight. Identify one person who takes you for granted. For 2 weeks, cut your availability to them in half. Don't explain, don't announce, just be less accessible. Watch the dynamic shift. Drop this affirmation. My silence speaks. My absence teaches. Number 5, perception architecture. Here's what they don't teach you in school. Truth doesn't matter as much as story. Facts don't win. Framing wins. Most people think reality speaks for itself. It doesn't. Reality is chaos. Story gives it meaning. And whoever controls the story controls reality. You could be the most competent person in the room, but if someone else frames you as incompetent first, that's what people believe. You could be completely innocent, but if the narrative paints you as guilty, you'll spend all your energy defending instead of advancing. Robert Greene wrote, "Reputation is the cornerstone of power." Machiavelli knew, men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Translation: what people perceive matters more than what actually happened. Human brains don't process reality. They process stories about reality. When someone hears information, their brain immediately asks, "What does this mean?" The first person to answer that question controls the frame. This is why news media is powerful. Same facts, different headlines, completely different public reaction. Local business owner struggles with new regulations versus wealthy entrepreneur complains about safety laws. Same reality, different frame, different emotional response. You need to apply this to your own life. Think about workplace politics. You make a mistake. Option A, someone else defines it first. Hey everyone, just so you know, your name messed up the client presentation. We're going to have to redo work because of it. Now you're defensive. Now you're damaged goods. Now you're explaining. Option B, you define it first. Team, I want to address something head on. I made a judgment call on the client presentation that didn't land as intended. I've already revised the approach and have a stronger version ready. I'll send it over by end of day. Thanks for the feedback. It made this better. Same mistake, different frame. First version, you're incompetent. Second version, you're accountable and improving. Or think about dating. You haven't texted someone back quickly. If they text, "Why are you ignoring me? Are you not interested?" They framed your silence as rejection. Now you're explaining. If you text first, "Busy week." "Worth the wait though. When are you free?" You framed your silence as valuable scarcity. Now they're grateful you reached out. Perception architecture is about getting ahead of the narrative. Why it works. Primacy effect. First impressions stick. Whatever story people hear first becomes their default framework. Everything else gets filtered through that initial frame. If the first story about you is positive, people interpret your actions generously. If the first story is negative, people interpret your actions suspiciously. Confirmation bias. People look for evidence that confirms what they already believe. Once a narrative is set, people unconsciously find proof it's true. That's why controlling the first frame is critical. How to recognize. When someone's using this against you, they're defining your actions before you can. The reason she did that is because what he's really trying to do is, if you ask me, this is just. They're assigning motivation to your behavior. They're interpreting your actions for others. They're building a narrative before you speak. If you notice people describing you in ways that don't match your intentions, someone's controlling your story. How to use this ethically. Here's the line. Framing isn't lying. You're not inventing false facts. You're choosing which true facts to emphasize and how to contextualize them. Lying says, "This didn't happen." Framing says, "Here's what happened, and here's what it means." The facts stay true. The meaning is where you have power. Some people will call this manipulation. Here's the truth. Someone is going to frame your story. Either you do it, or someone else does. Ethical framing means telling the truth while controlling the context. Manipulation means distorting facts to deceive. Know the difference. Next 7 days, reframe past failures. Take 3 recent setbacks and practice reframing them. Not lying about what happened, just changing the meaning. Example, setback, I got rejected from that job. Lying frame, I turned them down. Honest reframe, the fit wasn't right, which saved us both time. Now I'm focused on opportunities better aligned with my trajectory. Same facts. Better story. Before your next important conversation, meeting, or interaction, ask yourself, what story do I want them to walk away believing? Then, structure your communication to support that story. I write my own story before others write it for me. Number 6, strategic reciprocity. Here's what good people get wrong. They think kindness should be unconditional. It shouldn't. Unconditional kindness creates entitled recipients and exhausted givers. You have limited energy, limited time, limited resources. Every favor you do, every hour you give, every door you open for someone, that's currency. And most people spend it on humans who never pay back. They call this being nice. It's not nice, it's strategic incompetence. Cialdini's research proved it. Reciprocity is one of the strongest psychological drivers of human behavior. When you give first, people feel obligated to give back. But here's what he didn't emphasize enough. That only works with people who understand reciprocity. Reciprocity operates on a simple equation. Give to those who give back. Cut off those who only take. The problem is, most people distribute their generosity evenly. They help everyone. They're available to anyone. They give without tracking who reciprocates. Then they wonder why they're exhausted and resentful. Strategic reciprocity means mapping your network. Who adds value to your life? Who drains value from your life? Who takes without giving back? Then you adjust your investment accordingly. Think about your friend group. You have someone who only calls when they need something, advice about their relationship, help moving apartments, emotional support during their crisis. But when you need them, I'm so swamped right now, I'm dealing with my own stuff. Can we talk later? That's not friendship, that's extraction. Strategic reciprocity means recognizing this pattern, then reducing your investment to match theirs. You don't cut them off completely, you just stop being their on-call therapist. When they reach out, I'm pretty busy this week, but I hope you figure it out. Polite, distant, proportional, or think about work. You constantly help a coworker with their tasks. You cover their mistakes, you share your knowledge. But when you need something, they're suddenly unavailable. Strategic reciprocity means letting them fail next time. Not out of spite, out of resource allocation. Your help is valuable. Stop giving it to people who don't value it. Why it works. Social exchange theory. Every relationship operates on an unspoken ledger. Give, take, give, take. When the ledger is balanced, relationships feel good. When one person gives more than they receive consistently, resentment builds. Most people ignore the imbalance until they explode. Strategic people adjust their giving immediately. How to recognize energy vampires. They only contact you when they need something. The conversation is always about them. When you share your problems, they somehow redirect it back to their problems. They take your time, energy, and resources as if they're entitled to them. But when you need support, silence. If your chest tightens when you see their name on your phone, you're dealing with an energy vampire. How to use this without being transactional. Here's the balance. Strategic reciprocity doesn't mean keeping a spreadsheet of favors. It means being conscious of patterns. Give generously to people who give back. Give sparingly to people who only take. This isn't selfish. This is sustainable. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you give to everyone equally, regardless of reciprocity, you'll burn out. Then you won't be able to help anyone. Is accepting that not everyone deserves your best. You've been taught that withholding help is cruel. It's not. Helping people who don't help themselves or others is enabling. Strategic reciprocity means directing your resources where they create mutual value. That's not selfish, that's wise. Next 14 days, audit your network. List your top 10 relationships, personal and professional. For each one, honestly answer, do they give as much as they take? Do I feel energized or drained after interacting with them? If I needed help, would they show up? Be brutally honest. Then adjust your availability, green zone, reciprocal, maintain or increase investment. Yellow zone, mostly balanced, monitor and maintain. Red zone, extractive, reduce investment significantly. You're not being mean, you're being strategic. I give strategically. I invest in reciprocity. Number 7, constructive ambiguity. The clearer you are, the easier you are to corner. The vaguer you are strategically, the more options you keep open. Definitive statements create accountability. Vague statements create flexibility. Most people think clarity is always virtue. It's not. Sometimes clarity is tactical suicide. When you commit to a specific position too early, you lose negotiating room. When you reveal all your constraints, you give away leverage. When you're completely transparent about your plans, you invite interference. Machiavelli knew the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Translation: keep your options open until you have to commit. Constructive ambiguity works because humans need more clarity than you need to give. In negotiations, in relationships, in career moves, whoever commits first usually loses. Example: someone asks, "Are you looking for other jobs?" Tactical mistake: "No, I'm happy here." Now you have no leverage for a raise. Tactical mistake: "Yes, I have interviews lined up." Now they can prepare to replace you. Constructive ambiguity: I'm always open to the right opportunities. Right now, I'm focused on delivering results here. You committed to nothing. You revealed nothing. You maintained all options. Think about modern dating. Someone asks, "What are we?" If you're not sure yet, clarity creates pressure. Premature clarity: we're exclusive. Now you're locked in before you're ready. Premature clarity: we're just casual. Now you might have ended something that could have developed. Constructive ambiguity: I'm enjoying getting to know you. I'm not looking at this with a specific timeline. I'd rather see how it develops naturally. You didn't commit, you didn't reject, you bought time to evaluate. Or think about corporate politics. Two senior leaders are in conflict. Someone asks which side you're on. Tactical mistake: pick a side definitively. If your side loses, you lose. Constructive ambiguity: I see merit in both perspectives. I think the right approach probably integrates elements from both. You aligned with neither. You aligned with both. You survive regardless of who wins. This isn't cowardice. This is strategic positioning. Why it works. Option value: in finance, an option is valuable because it gives you the right, not the obligation, to act. Ambiguity is the conversational equivalent. You maintain the option to commit in any direction once you have more information. Projection advantage: when you're ambiguous, people project their preferred meaning onto your words. The optimist hears yes. The pessimist hears no. Both walk away thinking you agree with them. This keeps all relationships warm until you're ready to choose. How to recognize when someone's using this on you. They never give straight answers. "We'll see. I'm thinking about it." "Let me get back to you." That's interesting. They're always evaluating, never committing. If you find yourself constantly asking for clarity and never getting it, you're being held in ambiguity. The question is, are they being strategic, or are they just indecisive? Strategic ambiguity is temporary and purposeful. Indecision is permanent and anxiety-driven. How to balance this? With integrity. Here's the crucial distinction. Constructive ambiguity is not lying. You're not saying yes when you mean no. You're not making promises you'll break. You're simply refusing to commit before you have sufficient information. The ethical guideline: never make a promise you don't intend to keep. But don't make promises earlier than strategically necessary. When commitment time comes, commit. Until then, maintain flexibility. This feels manipulative to people raised on radical honesty. But here's reality. Premature clarity creates problems. You commit too early, you make bad decisions. You reveal too much, you lose negotiating power. You're too specific, you're held to standards you can't meet. Strategic ambiguity protects you until you have enough information to commit wisely. Next 7 days, practice strategic vagueness. When asked about plans, preferences, or positions where clarity doesn't benefit you, instead of, "Yes, I'll do that," try, "I'm considering it. Let me think through the details." Instead of, "I definitely think X," try, "There are arguments for several approaches. I'm evaluating them." Watch how this creates breathing room. Alliance mapping. For each important relationship situation, ask, what do I gain by committing now versus later? If the answer is nothing or pressure relief, wait. Only commit when commitment creates strategic advantage. I commit strategically. I keep my options alive. Number 8. Outcome obsession. Here's the final lesson. Being right doesn't matter. Looking good doesn't matter. Feeling morally superior doesn't matter. Results are the only score that counts. Most people are addicted to being right. They'd rather win an argument than achieve their goal. They'd rather prove a point than solve a problem. They'd rather maintain their moral high ground than actually improve their situation. This is ego disguised as principle. Machiavelli's most misunderstood quote, "The ends justify the means." People think this means do anything to win. It actually means stop measuring yourself by intentions and start measuring yourself by results. Good intentions that create bad outcomes are not virtuous. They're incompetent. The mechanism. Outcome obsession operates on a simple reframe. Instead of asking, "Am I right?" ask, "Am I effective?" Instead of asking, "Will this make me look good?" ask, "Will this create the result I want?" Instead of asking, "Am I following the rules?" ask, "Will this achieve my goal?" Because most of what people call principles are actually ego protection mechanisms. I can't do that. It's not who I am. Translation. My identity is more important than my results. I won't lower myself to their level. Translation. My pride is more important than solving this problem. I'm going to tell them exactly what I think. Translation. Venting my emotions is more important than strategic communication. Outcome obsession cuts through all of that. Think about workplace conflicts. Your coworker takes credit for your idea in a meeting. Ego response. Call them out publicly. Actually, that was my idea. You're right, but now you look petty. Now there's office drama. Now your boss sees you as difficult. Outcome obsessed response. Let it go in the moment. Later, privately document your contributions. Next meeting, present the next evolution of the idea yourself, referencing your original thinking. Your boss now sees the pattern. Your coworker looks like they're riding your coattails. You maintain professional composure. Better result. Zero drama, or think about relationships. Your partner does something that annoys you. Ego response, argue about why you're right and they're wrong. Spend 2 hours debating who's correct. Win the argument. Damage the relationship. Outcome obsessed response. Ask yourself, what do I actually want here? Maybe you want them to change the behavior. Maybe you want to feel heard. Maybe you want to let it go because it's minor. Then choose the communication style that achieves that outcome, not the communication style that proves you're right. Why it works. Results compound. Every time you choose outcomes over ego, you move forward. Every time you choose ego over outcomes, you stay stuck. Over time, outcome-obsessed people accumulate massive advantages. Not because they're smarter, because they're not wasting energy on things that don't matter. Ego is expensive. Defending your pride costs time. Proving you're right costs relationships. Maintaining your self-image costs opportunities. Outcome obsession is the decision that your goals are more important than your ego. How to recognize. When ego is blocking you, ask yourself, would I rather be right or would I rather get what I want? If you have to think about that question, ego is driving. Other signs, you're arguing long after the point is made. You're explaining yourself to people whose opinion doesn't matter. You're refusing to apologize even though it would solve the problem. You're choosing the hard path because you shouldn't have to. Take the easy one. Anytime should dominates your thinking. Ego is blocking outcomes. How to develop this without losing your soul? Here's the critical balance. Outcome obsession within ethical boundaries. You're not doing whatever it takes. You're doing whatever ethical actions achieve results. Your values create the container. Within that container, you optimize ruthlessly for outcomes. Unethical outcome. Obsession. Lie to get the deal. Ethical outcome obsession. Frame the truth in the most compelling way to get the deal. Unethical outcome obsession. Sabotage a competitor. Ethical outcome obsession. Outperform the competitor. Unethical outcome obsession. Manipulate someone into a bad decision for your benefit. Ethical outcome obsession. Help someone make a good decision that also benefits you. The goal is win-win outcomes achieved through strategy, not through deception or harm. Amateurs measure themselves by effort. I worked so hard. Professionals measure themselves by results. Did it work? Amateurs care about looking good. Professionals care about being effective. Amateurs defend their methods. Professionals change their methods if results demand it. Next 30 days. Result tracking. Before any important action, write down. The outcome I'm trying to create is specific result. After the action, evaluate. Did I achieve that outcome? If not, why not? Adjust your approach based on results, not feelings. Ego check. When you feel the urge to argue, defend yourself, or prove a point, pause. Ask, will this action move me toward my goal, or am I just protecting my ego? If it's ego, let it go. Strategic retreat. Practice walking away from battles that don't serve your war. Someone insults you, someone challenges you, someone tries to bait you into an argument. Instead of engaging, ask, does winning this fight get me closer to my actual goals? If no, withdraw. That's not weakness, that's outcome obsession. Results over righteousness. Outcomes over ego. You've learned 8 principles. Now here's how to integrate them into daily life. Step 1. Morning sovereignty ritual. 5 minutes. Before touching your phone, sit in silence. Breathe deeply for 60 seconds. Repeat your identity anchor. Today I control my emotions. My information is my currency. I see patterns others miss. This resets your frame before the world makes demands. Step 2. Real-time response protocol. When provoked, manipulated, or pressured, pause. Count to 3. Breathe. Deep breath reactivates your prefrontal cortex. Observe. What are they trying to get me to do? Choose. What outcome do I actually want? Then respond from strategy, not emotion. Step 3. Weekly pattern analysis. Sunday night, 20 minutes. Journal on these questions. Who tried to manipulate me this week? What tactics did they use? Did I catch it in real time or after? Where did I react emotionally instead of strategically? What triggered me? What would the strategic response have been? Where did I successfully maintain control? What did I do right? How can I repeat that? This converts experience into intelligence. Step 4. Communication experiment. Next 14 days, say 30% less than usual. When someone asks you something, give shorter answers. Volunteer less information. Let silence do work. Reply slower. Instead of immediate responses, wait 3 to 5 minutes before texting back. Take a beat before answering questions in person. Break the habit of constant availability. watch who gets uncomfortable. The people who need you to be predictable will press harder. That tells you something valuable. Step 5. Relationship Audit Monthly. Map your top 10 relationships on these axes. Energy. Do they energize or drain you? Reciprocity. Do they give back or just take? Alignment. Do they support your goals or distract? Then adjust investment. Deepen these relationships. These are your allies. Maintain but don't prioritize. These are neutral. Begin strategic distance. These are drains. You're not being cruel. You're being sustainable. Let's zoom out. These 8 principles aren't manipulation tactics. They're patterns of human behavior that have existed for thousands of years. Machiavelli didn't invent them. He observed them. Marcus Aurelius saw them. Nietzsche described them. Green cataloged them. They're not dark. They're real. The world operates on power, perception, and reciprocity, whether you acknowledge it or not. You have 2 choices. Choice 1, stay naive. Keep believing the world rewards goodness. Keep being surprised when it doesn't. Keep getting manipulated by people who understand these patterns. Choice 2, develop strategic intelligence. See the game clearly. Protect yourself effectively. Use these principles ethically to create better outcomes. The world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards effectiveness. Being good makes you feel virtuous. Being effective makes you powerful. The real mastery is being effective while keeping your soul. Using these principles to protect yourself and others. Using them to create win-win outcomes. Using them to build instead of destroy. That's the tightrope. That's the challenge. That's what separates strategic intelligence from manipulation. Your values create the boundaries. Within those boundaries, you optimize ruthlessly. If this changed how you see power, relationships, and strategy, subscribe right now. Every week, we go deeper into psychology, philosophy, and human behavior. This isn't motivation. This is tactical intelligence for modern life. Comment below, which of these 8 principles hit you hardest? And more importantly, what's the one change you're making starting today? Machiavelli wrote the rules. Your character determines how you use them. The game is happening whether you play or not. The only question is, are you going to be a piece on someone else's board? Or are you going to be the player? You can't unsee what you've learned today. The patterns are everywhere now. In every conversation, every relationship, every negotiation, you're going to start noticing them. What you do with that awareness decides everything. Use it to protect. Use it to build. Use it to create outcomes that serve everyone. Because the world doesn't need more manipulators. It needs more people who can't be manipulated. Welcome to Strategic Intelligence.